Thank you for joining XRO podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Hazard. Today I have with us Mr. Hiren Bhinde. He's the head of AR/VR product management at Qualcomm Technologies. He leads the expansion of virtual reality and augmented reality programs. He's the product management and strategic partnership leader with 15 plus years of deep experience in defining product roadmap and strategy. And he's been part of launching world-class VR AR devices, smartphones, and smart wearables. Really appreciate this, Hiren, you doing this for us. So can you start by explaining what microchip is, what does it do, and how has Qualcomm chips been enabling the world's most powerful VR devices?
Sounds good. First of all, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. I'm really excited. I've always been very passionate to talk about VR, AR, my love for VR and AR, but also as a Qualcomm employee, being very proud to represent this platform. It's this one is also special because I'm talking to my friends in India. And I do know that while AR and VR has not made a significant presence in that country just yet, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And once it does, I'm hoping that this conversation or what we discuss and predict and talk about in this conversation happens in reality soon. So let me start with the response to your question about microchips. And the way I usually respond to that question when I explain to my friends and family who are like, hey, what do you do at Qualcomm? What's Qualcomm? What are semiconductors? It's usually, just like how we have a brain. The human beings have a brain. All these electronic devices need a brain of its own. The phone needs it, the VR AR devices need it, any embedded technology, and that's what a chipset is or microchip is at a very high level. And just like how human beings have, there's a left brain, there's a right brain, which is an analytical part of the brain, and there's a creative part of the brain. The analytical part of the brain helps with all analytics or what's called as a quants, and the creative part of the brain is what drives the creative energy of human beings. Similarly, any microchip that we produce, again, this is an analogy. We have like a modem, which is the analytical part, does all the data transfer, voice calls, so on and so forth. And then there's a creative part, which is the application processor, where we have the graphics engine and the video engine and the audio engine and the DSP, and so on and so forth. And that's what the brain is. So when you power up any device, when you power up a phone, when you power up a VR AR device, the fact that there is an operating system that comes up and there are some instructions that it has to follow. Just like when you wake up in the morning and you know that there's an instruction, you got to brush your teeth and you got to wash your face and then you got to take care of your kid's lunch or whatever it is. The brain's giving those instructions. That's what a chipset does. And we as in Qualcomm has been in a prime position to work on the future of technologies that drive devices like smartphones and AR, VR. And it's, of course, this I'm keeping at a very high level. There's a lot more complexities and challenges that go as a part of that. But that's what a microchip is. And for AR, VR, I do believe that it becomes even more complicated because you have a device that's sitting on your head. You can't expect the device to get hot, or you can't expect the device to really it needs to have a longer battery life. So all of these aspects, while keeping your user experience, is something that the microchip plays an integral role as a part of the device.
What made you choose extended reality as a career choice?
It happened to be by chance. In 2015, I had just wrapped up my MBA from Berkeley. And there was an amazing opportunity to go join a startup in the Bay Area where one of my ex-colleagues was working. And one of my ex-bosses, he's an ex-boss now, and a very good friend, Tim Leland, he heard about the fact that I was thinking of moving on. And so he gracefully reached out and said, hey, there's this team I'm building, and there's VR's an opportunity, which I think you, with your experience in OS and systems and overall background, it might be a good fit for you. Why don't you think about it? I've loved the aspect of working on a new technology. So at that time, it just felt like a no-brainer to work and experience this new technology. And I couldn't have thanked him for that opportunity because I would have missed out on learning. And I think, at the end of the day, as a part of your career, if you're able to learn and work with good people, I think it makes the journey really meaningful. And for me, the journey so far has been extremely fulfilling in terms of the people I've worked with, the challenges I've faced, the successes we've seen, and the battles we've lost, be it internally, be it with partners, with everything like any other engagement. Hugo Swart, who's our VP and GM at Qualcomm, speaks about how much we as a company are invested in the success of this technology as well.
Lovely. So Google Glass had your XR1 chip. So what have been the key learnings from Google Glass?
I can't necessarily speak specific to the learnings of that particular project, but I can tell you that, I always share this. If you wake up any AR VR engineer in the middle of the night at Qualcomm and tell them what is the key priority in terms of product, it's always high performance, low power consumption, ultra low latency. And what that means is when you put on a device like a Google Glass device, and you see a virtual character, let's say you're wearing a device, and just not a Google, any device, for any AR device, the device needs to be light. Like I have my sunglasses here. And if you see, this is the future of glasses that we really target, right? Today, can we do this? We cannot. But I mean, imagine like having a chipset here and you're running all the processing, the compute processing there. How can we go and make iterative steps to reach a smaller form factor? So size is really critical. Have really low power consumption so that the phone or the device does not lose its battery in like 30 minutes. And how good the performance can be in terms of what you're seeing in front of your eyes at ultra low latency. Like when you move your head, let's say there's a virtual Spider-Man sitting on the table. You move your head and when you look back, you want the Spider-Man to be sitting right there and for it to be right there. I could talk about multiple examples for VR as well, but those are the kind of learnings that we do, and we see how we can improve step by step. It's with every single individual small step getting over certain challenges is what we try to learn from any of our projects, be it our engagement with Facebook and Oculus on the Go and the Quest and the Quest 2, or even as far as our engagement with any of the other lead customers. We learn and then we help develop better chipsets. And the amazing thing is Qualcomm is at the center of the growth of AR VR, where we are able to work with all our customers and learn from them so that we can help produce better products and better chipsets to drive this technology forward in the future.
We're living in exciting times, and the glasses that you pointed out to, I'm sure it's going to be reality maybe in another possibly 5-10 years. So Oculus Quest 2 is the first commercial VR headset with the XR2 chipset. So could you talk a little bit more about the partnership with Facebook and basically the capabilities of the XR2 chip?
Both companies are extremely happy to work with each other, right? I mean, and I think we've been on this journey for the last 5 years. I was there as a part of the kickoff meeting of Oculus Go and Oculus Quest, and I just feel proud of where we've come. Like for this particular, so the Oculus Quest 2, I have it right here. The fact that this has a product that we discussed a few years ago that we designed in 2017, and now it's here. We had Zuckerberg talk about the relationship with Qualcomm and how we've launched this device. So it's amazing. I think they are truly invested in the success of this space as they've publicly spoken, and we are totally committed to the success of this space as we've publicly spoken. So when forces like these come together, it helps accelerate the development of technology faster. Now, I have to say, and I'm not being diplomatic here, Qualcomm is an amazing company that that develops, strengthens, and sustains strong relationships with its partners. It takes its partnerships very seriously. As an Android product manager 10 years ago, I saw the same thing that we did with Google. We're doing that with Facebook and Microsoft and HTC and multiple partners with whom we've publicly launched devices today, and with other partners with whom we've started working that are not public yet. So I think we find ourselves in, I personally find myself to be lucky to have those experiences, and it's been a fun ride so far. Now, your second question was about the capabilities of XR2. As we were discussing, XR2 is, it's another microchip which was specifically designed for AR/VR devices in 2020, and we began this work 3 years ago. Actually, slightly more than 3 years ago now, and the aspect of making sure that this device, this chipset, focuses on high performance, low power, low latency was, of course, the principles on which we work. But then we also wanted to make sure that it has elements that helps with VR devices. This particular chipset has the ability to have 7 concurrent cameras. So, for example, when you wear a VR device today, like an Oculus Quest, for an example, or a Quest 2, there are 4 cameras, 2 for head tracking and 2 for controllers tracking. And sometimes it uses a combination of both. But there are companies that want more cameras. So 2 that track your eyes, because as your eyes move, for iris authentication, so that once you put on your glasses, they just know that it's you. So that helps. Or even to reduce power. There's a lot of benefits of eye tracking. So 2 cameras for eye tracking, 2 cameras for head tracking, 2 for controller, and then there could be 1 RGB camera for what's called as video see-through or mixed reality. So there's multiple combinations in which these cameras could be used. And traditionally, smartphone chipsets did not support multiple cameras, and especially multiple concurrent cameras. So that's something that XR2 provides. Other than that, XR2 has high graphics capabilities. The high graphics capabilities has helped. It was specifically designed to ensure that VR products like Oculus Quest and Quest 2, and XR2 specifically for Quest 2, they require high horsepower in terms of the graphics and compute capabilities. So those are the kind of changes that we did. XR2 is by far amongst my top favorite products that I personally worked on, and I think the launch of Quest 2 is very meaningful and personal as a part of my career journey.
Oculus as a company, obviously in partnership with you guys, has been that company which has been driving adoption of this technology. And I'm sure Oculus Quest 2 is going to play a huge role and could possibly be the catalyst for driving the adoption of AR/VR globally. So XR2 is also 5G and AI enabled. How do you view these 2 transformational technologies enabling AR/VR as a technology?
Think about AR/VR is another platform, right? So it's a platform for experiences. Think of AR/VR just like how smartphone has been a platform for connection for data connection, for voice communication, as well. And as a part of this connectivity that's established on smartphones, you can today right from order an Uber to order food, to check the weather, to send messages. AR/VR is going to have a lot of what we call as immersive experiences. For in VR, where you're able to find yourself in a different world than where you are right now, and AR, where you're able to extrapolate the digital or data in the spatial worlds, and that's why it's called a spatial computing, in the space around you. Now, what's required as a part of that is, first of all, this data that comes real time in front of your eyes has to be extremely meaningful. It has to be contextual. So you might enjoy, say, coffee and cappuccino, and I might be a big fan of pasta or, say, cricket, for example, right? And if both of us are wearing glasses, other than showing the weather information, the news information, if you're walking down the streets, you're getting information to, hey, there's this famous coffee, there's this cafe barista here that you should try. Or for me, it's saying that, hey, there's a T20 match today. that you can tune in at 6 p.m. Those contextual information requires AI, and that AI is, of course, needs to be on the device, and there's, of course, an element of what needs to happen in the cloud. But even on the device, it needs to be really powerful. So that's where the whole AI comes into place, where getting the knowledge becomes important and making it contextually relevant. Now, we know that there's a platform, a device, which is going to get that information. We know that we require intelligence of this information, which is AI. Now, what we really also need is the ability to get this information in extremely short periods of time, like really low latency and high bandwidth. A mix of this high bandwidth and low latency is the mantra of 5G, right? I mean, 5G is like essentially much bigger pipes of data and getting it to come up really, really fast. So that's where the marriage of these three technologies coming together, which is AR, VR as a platform, as a computing platform, AI to make sure that the information that you're getting is really intelligent and contextual to the user who's listening to that or experiencing that, sorry. And then the third part is where the bandwidth of this is something that becomes really important. So 5G, AI, and XR is as crucial as about 10 plus years ago, where it was Bluetooth and an iPod or a music player like experience, plus a phone, plus an internet connectivity device, all coming together to make it a smartphone. So I think this whole experience is what's going to make it better.
Recently, I think that the Qualcomm powered Unreal glasses, they received 40 million funding. So which are the companies you are most excited for?
So Qualcomm, when we as a company talk about enabling partners and enabling an ecosystem, we actually take it extremely seriously. Of course, like any partnership, like any customer and client relationship, there's ups and downs. But I do know that right from our leadership all the way to our folks working in the lab, the whole spectrum of people, they do their own individual bit to make sure that the customers get what they need. And because I've been as a part of the spectrum where I spent a part of my career working in the labs, enabling the first few Android devices, I know that it was very important to keep the success of each individual customer really at the top of our charter. So as far as the AR VR OEMs are concerned, we of course work with the big names, which is public, Google, Microsoft, FRL. I mean, Oculus is now called as Facebook Reality Labs, and we also work with operators around the world because we are a 5G company. We are very closely connected with them as a modem company. And we have also started working with companies over the last 5 years like Pico in China, with Unreal, with Shadow Creator, and a bunch of other of these companies that it's amazing how they move fast. They're doing their own individual bit in technology innovation. They're doing their own individual bit in trying to work on the ecosystem, and I do think that it's a really good journey. I have to also acknowledge that our business team, I mean, as a part of the organization that I work with, where Hugo Swart, who's our VP and GM, and our other two leads, like Brian Vogelsang, who leads all operators and other partnerships, and Saeed Bakadir, who leads OEM, have done a wonderful job in kind of over the past couple of years, also continuing to strengthen some of these relationships more and more. So I think it's been a good symbiosis. Can I talk about one particular customer we're excited about? No, because it's not just being unfair. We genuinely are very much invested in the success of the space and helping each of these partners get the right platform and support from Qualcomm in order to achieve that.
Adoption is still slow when it comes to AR, VR, MR. Where do you see the problem with the adoption? Is awareness a problem?
It's multiple factors. I think, first of all, I do not think that I wouldn't call it as an adoption issue. I think when I look at it now, I feel that we are going through a similar phase, like what phones went through about 15, 20 years ago. In fact, I do feel the only thing with VR and AR, what happened was 4 years ago, there was an immense hype around this space, and there were multiple companies that came up in this space, and there's a lot of funding that happened in this space. But like any other technology, it goes to the like the innovator's dilemma, the crest and the trough. Path and the pattern, and I think now we are in the the time of consumer VR has arrived with Quest 2. Quest helped make that happen. Quest 2 is exploding that. Mark Zuckerberg in his earnings call recently mentioned that the demand is 5 times for Quest 2 than what they had expected. So that success speaks volumes, and it's still a gaming device, and there will be other use cases that will come through future devices. For AR, it has started with the enterprise space, and it will eventually get to the consumer space when the 3 things fall in place together. One is the right form factor, which means the right technology. Second is the right content, and third is the right price. I think the mix of content, price, and technology, when it blends together, that's when things fall in place. It happened the same thing for smartphone. The first Android phone or the first iPhone were not the first smartphones. There were other products that had come before that called themselves as smartphones, but sometimes the screens were too small. Sometimes the user experience was still typing. It was more of a small laptop on a handheld device. But this requires a different kind of a thinking. This requires a different sort of user interface experience. So there's a lot that needs to happen for it to for say my aunt or my cousin working in healthcare to just put on this device and start intuitively using, just like the first few Android phones and iOS phones did. So that's, I think, where we are on the cusp of seeing that explosion right now.
This should be a question to you, but since you are partners, I mean, we don't have Oculus Quest 2 over here. We don't have NBL. In fact, we don't have STC. We don't have any. Neither do we have Microsoft. How important is India as a market for Qualcomm, and how important do you think it should be a market for like the giants such as Facebook or Microsoft or an STC?
There is definitely a lot of thought and energy and work that goes in keeping in the India market. There's a lot of work that happens. I mean, right from the brand awareness to having a huge R&D center in India. One of the biggest R&D centers outside the US for Qualcomm is in India. And from a market perspective, working with all the big smartphone brands in outside of India that are investing in India and in India who are trying to also go big. I think it's huge. And most of this is public, like our relationship with Reliance and Jio, and there's a lot that's happening there. But again, since I'm not involved in that, I can't comment on the specifics, but I can say that there's definitely a huge amount of there's a lot of work that happens in making sure that the India market is successful. From a VR AR perspective, I think, I don't see it as a matter of if India is important. I mean, it's just on the market just started opening up. The early adopters are in the US right now, and India is going to be a market of scale for sure. I mean, when I think of the background and the city, I grew up in Kolhapur, which is a city in Maharashtra, close to Mumbai, a few hours south of Pune. And some of my friends with whom I went to school today haven't traveled outside the country, and some of them haven't even traveled outside of Maharashtra. So when I think about these friends of mine being able to experience a 360 video of New York City or the beaches of San Diego or Hawaii. It's because today these friends of mine do see this on YouTube. They see it on the phone. But being there is going to make a lot of difference. Now, it's just not for them. Even for somebody like me on the content side, because I was talking from a device perspective, even from a content perspective, I haven't been to that city in years. And my only medium today to experience or be connected to that is through looking at pictures on the web or through what my friends put up on Facebook. The ability to put on a VR device today here and just finding myself in my school or the playground where I grew up in with any 360 videos built there it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, the other aspect here is that India market needs three pillars for the explosion of this in terms of content. One is cricket. Second is Bollywood. And third is religion. So cricket, having being in a VR and just like how it's been done for NBA, the ability to wear a VR device and watch cricket matches live is going to be a phenomenal experience for multiple people. The ability to find yourself in a Siddhivinayak temple or a Tirupati Balaji temple or a Haji Ali or Mother Mary's Church on a Sunday morning mass, just wearing a VR device and finding yourself in that ambience while being in the comfort of your home, hundreds of miles away, is going to be really critical. Bollywood, finding yourself sitting right next to Ranveer Singh or Deepika Padukone while having a live IFA or a Filmfare Awards and being a part of that experience, watching a Hrithik Roshan dance in stage front of you rather than watching it on a screen is going to be really crucial. So there's a lot of content that is being developed today and the space already exists. It's the right, again, as I said, I go back to that content price devices are the devices that are being built today at that price point factor, at that comfort factor that folks in India would use, is something that all companies are thinking about on how to scale and how to go about it. So I do think that nobody's taking the scale in India lightly. Everybody's taking it very seriously, but I think the market's taking its own time and space. I have always strongly felt the sense of a community that, be it highs and lows in life, the ability to share it with people who mean a lot to you makes these experiences richer. If I can have a platform where my friends and family in India can see and experience some of the world that's outside and experience what the US has to offer in terms of some of its beauty here, and vice versa. This the perception of what India is very different for most people here. And so the ability for somebody to wear a VR headset here and just say experience Holi in India, right? Or experience the madness in Wankhede Stadium during a T20 and World Cup. Those experiences in words and on digital platforms like a YouTube or Facebook TV can be seen, but the experiential part comes when you're able to wear a VR device and be there. During Ganesh Visarjan, for example, when people come on the streets, irrespective of their religion and background and bringing in the society fabric of India, they're all there shouting Ganpati Bappa Moria and just towards one goal. Those experiences need to be experienced by being there. And VR is the only platform that does that. AR, education, the first time my 9-year-old wore glasses, AR glasses, and she saw the solar system or virtual solar system. I can never erase that from my memory. I actually, she walking to this, trying to touch these virtual planets and having an experiential understanding rather than just reading it or thinking about it. She just knows it. So those experiences I am very excited for India as well, because I do think that imagine kids from a background where they have an opportunity to wear AR glasses from modest backgrounds, and then your education plays such an important role in the system fabric of India. It will take education to a different level. It will make them experience cricket and Bollywood and outside the country experiences and understanding the culture of what's beyond India in a different level. Today, nobody talks about smartphones as just being a technology with 30 or 60 megapixels of camera and having X number of cameras and so on and so forth. They talk about how a farmer in India is able to look at the weather and make decisions appropriately, or a young college kid coming out of a college in Mumbai is able to order a Ola cab and just go home. Like, these experiences become a part of your nature to help people focus on other things in life. So those are the kind of experiences I'm excited about. India as a country, my friends out there, and also my friends here, to make them experience about the culture.
Yeah. So VR has the capability where it can take you from storytelling to story experiencing. We are just kind of scraping the surface, with virtual reality. I mean, there is volumetric capture, where then there is haptic feedback. Just imagine you are in a movie and possibly you're holding Shah Rukh Khan. How exciting would that be? And you spoke about experiential learning, right? Yes, I mean, I guess that's the future. I mean, it could just democratize education. Would you like to even talk about a little bit of enterprise use cases?
Enterprise use cases are going to play a huge part. We are involved with some of our partners. There's studies that we've done. In fact, Qualcomm, one of my colleagues, Brian Vogelsang, he has successfully launched this program we are called as the XR Enterprise Program with some of our other folks at Qualcomm and a lot of enterprise partners, in order to bring these partners together and provide a platform where we can accelerate some of these use cases. So in terms of, I'll talk about my one of my favorite use cases, I think, in the enterprise space is also on the healthcare side. I think it covers a full spectrum. And what I mean by full spectrum is there's a medical student today, like in COVID, is not able to go to school in person. But if he has a AR device and has a table at home and has a virtual frog or virtual body that he or she can work on and learn, that becomes an amazing aspect of learning. There are virtual surgeries and operations from not only from a learning perspective, but also from a remote assistance perspective, where you can help and train doctors through these devices that comes into play. Very recently, I was a part of a panel for this event called as EWTS, which is a huge enterprise conference that happens usually, I believe, in Austin, and this year it was virtual. And as a part of that, I had this gentleman who was, as a part of that panel, there was this gentleman who was from GE, and he spoke about how he has himself seen the transformation of the factory workers from not being aware of AR to now using like HoloLens to seamlessly for their enterprise use cases. So again, there's a lot of use cases in each of these domains that we can talk about. But I personally always feel that education and healthcare are two, for me personally, I always feel very much drawn towards seeing how they're impacting human lives on a day-to-day basis, from a learning perspective, from a teaching perspective, from an experiential perspective. And I think that's something that I really like as well.
what comes after XR1 and XR2? When do we see XR3? Will it what is it going to bring to the table? It's going to be more sensors, more performance, or more optimization?
I think the North Star is clear for us. The North Star is clear that the devices are going to continuously become lighter in weight, are going to become more powerful in the content that they use, and they are going to require more and more ability to function at extremely low power. That's our North Star. The North Star is that we want to make all technology changes so that we work towards this, where one day on these glasses, we have a chipset somewhere on here, and it has all the compute capabilities that's required to for the experiences required for XR, that has 5G connectivity and also has the AI. That's the journey we are on now. The XR1 and XR2 are did not follow one after the other. XR1 and XR2 are essentially two segments. It's like XR2 is a more powerful custom for VR, and XR1 is more custom for viewers kind of devices. So how we do the next generation of XR2, how we work on next generation of XR1 are the problems that keep me and my colleagues at Qualcomm awake at night right now on what we need to do and how can we continuously push the technology envelope further. I think it's exciting. The space is exciting. We're just getting started. We have amazing partnerships. And the good thing is that we, as a company, we're invested in the success of the space, and we're working with other partners who are invested in the success of the space. So I do think that it's going to be a fun ride.
So where do you see AR, VR, MR in the next 10 years? Not just AR, VR, MR, but also Qualcomm.
So I think you said three things: AR, VR, Qualcomm, and me. So I'll go in that order. AR, VR, I think, is going to be something that's going to be that people are hearing about it right now, but it's going to be something that people are just going to know. I know that my kids are going to learn and experience and connect and communicate and socialize and experience and interact with the digital world and their own world, very much using this as a platform over the next 10 to 15 years. I have zero doubts about that. I'm hoping that even the space in India, like we're speaking, we have this particular video that goes down your memory lanes of the Xtrom podcast, and like 8-10 years down the line, you and I are speaking again and we're saying, remember when we were saying that people did not know about VR, AR, and we spoke about Bollywood and cricket as a use case? It's happening right now. We're seeing this today with a whatever device then, right at that time. So that's where I think AR, VR, I think is going to be going to see its growth, and even if it takes some time, it's going to be it's in Hindi, as they say, der aaye durust aaye. Like, even if it's a little late, it should come the right way. And I think patience is the virtue here. As far as Qualcomm's concerned, I do think that I couldn't have been prouder of what we've achieved so far. And I couldn't be excited about what the company is investing and thinking about the future and success of AR/VR. I think that's what separates Qualcomm as a leader as compared to some of its contemporaries and colleagues who have their own strengths. But I think I think very highly of how the company thinks about the future of technology. And as far as I am concerned, I've enjoyed the journey so far of being in AR, VR, and I'm hoping to stay in this space and continue working in AR and VR. I do love how it is impacting, it will start impacting people and their lives with some of these use cases. So I am excited to be on this journey.
Lovely. Thank you. Hiren. Really appreciate you taking time being part of XRM podcast. I got into AR, VR, MR early 2016, and from that time onwards till right now, it's completely been a learning experience. There have been lots of downs, there's been few ups, but it's been super exciting because I see AR, VR, MR as the technology which will replace the 2D platform that has taken over 100 years to evolve. I see that we will jump dive into the 3D world where we will start interacting with digital objects as how we interact with the physical objects. I'm excited about that future where every kid, maybe if he's sitting in the urban area or the rural area, having a device which will enable them to have the same kind of education what maybe somebody who's sitting in America is having. I'm excited that the geography is becoming history. Microsoft recently announced that they have given work from home option forever for all its employees, almost 50% of its employees, except for engineers. How will that transform the future of work? Will people use VR? Will we have a headset or a head wearable device, maybe like this, or maybe a contact lens? I'm super excited about that, and to know that all of that is going to be powered by you. And this other, I mean, I'm sure you must be super excited. So I wish you the very best, and I wish you and all the creators out there, innovators out there, to keep on tinkering, keep on finding and creating that tool which will enable mankind. I only hope and I wish and I pray that whatever we build becomes something that enables mankind and creates an equitable future. On that note, thank you, Hiren. It was a pleasure and honor to have you on XR podcast.
No, thank you very much, Eddie. I must say before we end this that you and I have exchanged messages over the past 2 years, and I feel extremely proud of the work that you're doing to help keep the awareness of this space in India. And I'm a very, very small part of this huge ecosystem that's working and making this space successful. And so I feel, just like you, I feel lucky, blessed, humbled to be a part of this space and learn here. So congratulations to you on the amazing work that you keep doing selflessly to keep this space, the awareness of the space for our friends in India. And of course, now with YouTube as a channel globally as well. So congratulations to you on that. And I'm hoping that, we see the growth of this space. The aspect of it touching mankind, I couldn't have agreed more on that point. I do know that there are people today who look at skepticism to the space. They did the same thing with television. They did the same thing with smartphones. They did the same thing with tablets. But we do need that kind of feedback. Television, smartphones, laptops, tablets, as product segments, have helped push the mankind for the better ahead. And of course, there are folks who get addicted to some of these platforms, and the way some of these folks consume these platforms is not good. But it's been the same thing for any technical advancement. So I do see that the space is going to help the mankind in learning and expressing and connecting and creating communities and just providing platforms like we've never seen before. So it's going to be amazing to be on this journey, and we'll see how it works out. So
lovely. Thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to have you. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie.